The first thing I do every morning is play back the calendar in my head. January 10th, 2014. It was raining. I wore the burgundy sweater. Ms. Blevins assigned the Odyssey. Dad burned the toast. January 3rd, 2014. Frost on the hall window. Parker joked about my messy bun. I learned the square cube law in physics. I can spool through my entire life like that, one crisp image after another. The colors never fading or bleeding together. My parents call it a gift. Dr. Metcalf, the neurologist who gave me the label hyperthymesia, calls it a lifelong documentary feature, minus the fast-forward button. So, the void shocked me. I was shelving cereal in the pantry when I noticed the emptiness. I could recall May 8th of sophomore year and May 9th of junior year, but everything between those dates was a fog that tasted like static. No birthdays, no tests, no outfits, no embarrassments, nothing. 365 days had been torn from the reel. At first I blamed fatigue. I lay across the carpet, closed my eyes, and tried the calendar trick. May 8th, 2021. Late bus, blueberry gum, trigonometry quiz. Then, May 9th, 2022. Coffee shop smell, Ms. Diaz's graduation speech rehearsal. In between, only blank screen. I curled into myself, dizzy. For a person who remembers the grit inside a seashell she touched at age 6, amnesia is like stepping into a room without gravity. Mom found me and thought I'd fainted. I told her something was wrong with my head. She panicked, drove me to Dr. Metcalf. He tapped a penlight across my gaze, asked about headaches. I said the only pain was the silence in my memory. Metcalf ordered scans and blood work, then offered a useless shrug. Sometimes trauma walls itself off. I reminded him that if I'd had trauma, I would remember it. The next day, the messages started arriving. One came folded into my locker vents. "Elle, thanks for the courage you gave us. Don't let them scare you into forgetting. We're still here, Rook." Another was scrawled on a napkin slid across my table at Pop's Diner by a waitress I'd never met. Signal went dead. Phase 2 waits on your word. Foxglove. That night, an email landed in my spam folder, subject line, siren, wake up. No body text, only an attachment. A photo of me in a dark room, hood up, half lit by a phone screen, finger pressed to my lips. I didn't own the sweatshirt in the picture. Hyperthymesia means I recognize the face of every stranger I've passed on sidewalks. Yet now strangers recognized me. I forwarded the attachment to Jonas Reyes, my best friend since kindergarten. Jonas is the one person who's never envied my memory. He claims forgetting allows evolution. We met after school in the robotics lab. He pulled the photo onto a monitor, zoomed in. The metadata said it was snapped 8 months ago, right in my missing year. "You sure that's you?" he asked. I examined the curve of my jaw, the freckle beside my left eye. Positive. Jonas ran a facial recognition search against my social accounts. Nothing surfaced, no image, even close. Finally, he leaned back, pushing his glasses up. "Either someone did Hollywood-level deepfake or you had a life none of us knew about." "If I had, I'd remember," I muttered, but uncertainty had grown claws. Next morning, a tan sedan idled outside my house. A man leaned against it, leather jacket, phone to ear. When I stepped out, he pocketed the phone and called softly, "Layla Gray?" His tone pronounced the syllables like passwords. "Who are you?" I asked, staying on the porch. "Name's Arden. You probably recall me as Beacon. If you don't, that's okay. We were careful for a reason." My heartbeat turned locomotive. "I don't know you." He nodded as if expected. "Helixdyne found a way to clean your drive then. Figures, but it's reversible." He offered a slim USB stick. "Drop this into a computer offline. Follow the prompts." Mom shouted from indoors, asking if everything was fine. I said yes far too quickly. Arden smiled, climbed into the sedan, and drove away. At school, I showed Jonas the USB. He sniffed. "This is how horror movies start." "Horror already started," I replied. We borrowed an ancient tower from the AV closet, one with no Wi-Fi card. Jonas booted it, disabled every auto-run precaution, then inserted the stick. A black window opened, green text blinking. "Hello, Siren. If the shades are reading, get lost. Press enter when safe." Jonas looked at me. I pressed enter. Lines poured. Operative name. Siren lead status, abducted or compromised. Objective, memory restoration protocol, playback. The monitor flickered to a grainy video. My face, my unmistakable face, filled the frame. I wore the hood, eyes electric. A voice that was mine yet sharper addressed unseen listeners. Helix Dyne's Eden Initiative isn't a farm. It's a vault for gene property. They patent seeds, lock farmers into contracts, then claim nature. We thought lawsuits would stop them. They buried us in motions. So we're taking back the code itself. Tonight we ghost their servers and liberate the genome library. You're volunteers, not soldiers. Consent is active. At any sign of police, you scatter. I'll handle the trigger. Video me raised a fist. Others behind the camera echoed, then static. Jonas exhaled. "Layla, you masterminded a cyber heist." I shook my head violently, but denial rang hollow. The footage wasn't doctored. I recognized the micro-expressions I'd studied in bathroom mirrors before debates. Still, memory remained vacant. The video file ended with coordinates. An abandoned textile mill 20 minutes north. Jonas insisted we tell authorities. I argued that the authorities might be the reason my memory was gone. In the end, we compromised. We'd recon the mill in daylight, snap photos, leave. We bicycled there Saturday. The mill loomed, brick eaten by ivy. Wind chattered through busted panes like teeth. Inside, footprint drifts marred dust, recent. We found extension cords, shattered coffee mugs, stencil art on walls, a nautilus shell circled by binary. Underneath, one spray-painted word, Siren. "Your logo?" Jonas whispered. Something else waited in the main floor. A half-burned manifesto taped to a pillar. I peeled it off. Helix Dyne profits from scarcity. We profit from memory. When they erase one, the other becomes weapon. Siren. As I read, a clarion sting pricked my skull. A memory, a real one, flickered. I was in this room, clustering laptops on crates, calling out IP addresses while people cheered. A sense of fierce joy, unlike anything I'd known, flushed me. Then the scene shredded and vanished. Jonas steadied me. "What happened?" "I saw something, only a second." I clutched the pillar. "We need more." We pried a padlocked office door. Inside were sleeping bags and a whiteboard layered with scribbles, extraction logistics, legal statutes, and one chilling note. Backup Ratias L's brain. The last word underlined 3 times. My legs buckled. Hyperthymesia made me the flash drive. If Helix Dyne wanted the stolen data, scrubbing me would be efficient. Sirens wailed. Not my code name, but real police. Blue lights splashed through broken windows. Jonas cursed. We ducked behind a conveyor. Boots and radios infiltrated. Someone shouted, "Clear left!" I recognized the man who'd waited in the sedan, ardent beacon, kneeling, hands raised, cuffed. Another agent barked, "We got the recruiter!" Jonas squeezed my hand. "They'll sweep with dogs. We need altitude." We scaled a defunct freight elevator shaft, emerging onto the roof. Below, squad cars clustered. A black van, insignia of Helix Dyne Security Solutions, idled beside them. Corporate muscle and police. Partners. Jonas pointed to an adjacent rooftop 2 meters away. We jumped. My ankles shrieked on landing, but we kept going, zigzagging until shadows swallowed us. That night I limped home, mind swirling. Mom was on the couch, tear tracks shining. A plainclothes man occupied the recliner, badge flipped open on his knee. He introduced himself as Agent Kessler, Corporate Espionage Task Force. "We're investigating a data theft from Helix Dyne," he said. "Your name surfaced. Want to clarify?" I lied. I claimed no clue, No strangers, fainting spells because of iron deficiency. Kessler studied me like a specimen, then left a card. If you remember something, call. As soon as he left, Mom demanded truth. I couldn't give it. She wept anew, not understanding that I truly didn't remember the sins attributed to me. Sleepless, I reopened the USB. Hidden folders became visible after the first playback, one labeled Trigger. Inside, audio files titled with song names. I clicked the earliest. An a cappella humming filled headphones, a lullaby Dad used to sing when I was small. As the tune progressed, scenes detonated behind my eyes. I was at a farm fence, scanning fields speckled with wilted soy. A farmer, Mrs. Keener, I recognized her from local markets, handed me a shoebox of shriveled pods. They won't germinate, she said. Helix-dyne seeds die after one season. I promised her I'd fix it. Another file, a different song. Partial memories of an underground meetup, battery lanterns, laptops. I realized each melody unlocked a cache. My brain was a safe that opened by musical passcodes, and someone had left the keys. I spent dawn absorbing file after file, forcing memory fragments to stitch. By sunrise, I possessed a narrative. It started with Dad. He'd been a horticulturist who tried crossbreeding open-source beans. Helix-dyne sued him for gene infringement, citing a stray trademarked sequence carried by the wind. Legal bills wrecked us. Dad drank himself into pneumonia and died the year I turned 16. Grief mutated into fury. I researched their patents, saw the stranglehold, the suicides of indebted farmers. Using my perfect recall of Dad's studies, I created replicable, unpatentable seed strains and encoded them into an online library. Helix-dyne firewalled me. I recruited coders at hackathons under the alias Siren, building Afterglow, a collective intent on releasing the archive globally. Our big night, codenamed Bloom, was 8 months ago at the mill. We succeeded. Data streamed to mirror sites, but Helix-dyne retaliated. They grabbed me during cleanup, dragged me into a white van, strapped VR goggles onto my face. A voice promised that when they were finished, I'd recall nothing of Afterglow, only nightmares of trespassing. A serum tasted like copper as they injected it. The last unlocked memory ended with me screaming into a gag. I slammed the laptop closed in terror. Hyperthymesia versus chemical lobotomy. The corporation had bet on chemistry, but now I remembered enough to be lethal. To them or to myself, I wasn't sure. At school the next day, hallways felt narrower. 2 unfamiliar students flanked my locker. "Siren?" the taller one murmured. I nodded. Relief softened their eyes. "We're still running mirrors. Helix-dyne is filing takedowns faster. We need the root." "I don't have it," I said. "They took it." "You are the root," the shorter kid replied. "Your recollection is the backup repository. That was the plan." I swallowed. "Police raided the mill. Beacon's arrested. We're exposed. We move the swarm tonight. 2300 hours, new node." "You in?" Tall kid's voice trembled with hope. I hesitated. Hyperthymesia made these strangers intimate. I'd once known their coffee orders, their allergies. Now fear dwarfed camaraderie. "I need time." They slipped away into chemistry class. Jonas cornered me later. "Government subpoenaed school servers for your emails. We should run." "Run where?" He shrugged. "Anywhere not owned by Helix-dyne, so Antarctica maybe." "Layla, this is spiraling." I tapped the locker, thinking. Maybe we finish what I started. If the genome library goes wide enough, erasing me won't matter. Jonas stared. "You nearly got mind-wiped once. You'd risk it again?" "I'm already missing a year," I said. "I won't lose purpose too. Tonight, then." I texted the chemistry class duo. They responded with an address, an abandoned mini-golf course outside city limits. I hijacked Dad's old truck. Jonas grudgingly joined, claiming someone had to manage threat matrices. We arrived at the course under a cloudy moon. Neon dinosaurs slumped over dry moats. Inside the fiberglass volcano, LEDs and laptops pulsed. Maybe 20 people hunched over code. A giant projection displayed mirror site statuses. Green alive, red taken down. Reds multiplied. "Depot, this is Siren," the tall kid announced. Heads lifted. A surge of emotion rippled. Awe, anger, desperation. I climbed onto a plastic rock. Words came unbidden. Maybe they'd lived there, waiting. They cut a year from my brain, but they missed a few notes. I have the seed schema in pieces. We'll rebuild, distribute via offline mesh, peer-to-peer bursts at farm co-ops. No centralized server equals nothing to burn. Cheers erupted. We fell into work. I dictated algorithm blueprints from memory. Others coded. Jonas established a portable LoRa network linking ham radios. We loaded thumb drives shaped like golf tees, ironic merchandise of revolution. At 2 a.m., spotlights exploded across the fairway. Helix Dine commandos fanned out, guns leveled. "On the ground!" a bullhorn roared. The volcano filled with screams. I bolted for a maintenance tunnel with Jonas and 2 others. Sirens, again, the acoustic kind, howled. In the tunnel we hit a locked grate. Footsteps echoed behind. I grasped Jonas's shoulder. "If they take me, they'll finish wiping. You have to reach broadcast point." "I'm not leaving you," he said. "You like evolution? This is it." I pressed a golf tee drive into his palm. "Go become the next root." He hesitated, tears glassy, then sprinted down a side shaft with the others. I faced the grate, forced a rusted bolt until it snapped. Beyond was open air above a drainage ditch. I crawled through, dropped, ankle throbbing anew. As I limped across cattails, a beam hit me. Commandos flooded the bank. I raised my hands. In my pocket, concealed, remained one more drive. They cuffed me, bagged my head, shoved me into a van. Engines growled. During the ride, a calm voice spoke. "We underestimated the resilience of autobiographical indexing. This time, we'll target deeper structures." I laughed. Actually laughed, because panic had burned into exhilaration. "You're late. Seeds already scattered." Silence. At a warehouse, they strapped me into a chair, electrodes pasted. A technician adjusted a drip, perhaps the same serum. Another memory, unlocked, unsummoned. Dad teaching me how a seed's embryo carries the map of forests. Knowledge condensed into a spark that can survive winters, fires, droughts, waiting for the right humidity to ignite life. I hummed his lullaby. The tech frowned. "Stop that." But I couldn't. The tune spiraled, a secret handshake for my hippocampus. Images cascaded. Mrs. Keener's farm sprouting reclaimed legumes, children picking tomatoes labeled commons, not commodity. Each memory reinforced the hum. The electrodes warmed. Maybe they pulsed current, maybe not. I barely felt it. The song had become armor, each note a plate. Time dissolved. Eventually, voices receded. Someone murmured, "She's not responding to the induction." Another said, "We'll schedule full ablation." I counted their words, filed them by vowel colors. Synesthesia trick. When they left, I tested the cuffs. Too tight. I twisted my wrist until ligaments threatened to tear, but a loop loosened. Hyperthymesia includes remembering knot diagrams from summer camp. 5 minutes later, I slipped free, stomach rolling. I crept hallway after hallway until a loading bay appeared. Storm clouds churned outside. A single guard smoked by crates, phone in hand. I waited for his exhale timing, rushed, slammed a crate lid onto his skull. He crumpled. I searched for keys, found only a pass card. Doors whirred open until I reached a room glowing server blue. Racks of storage. Maybe the captured genome library? I jammed my hidden drive into a port, executed a bash script I'd memorized during volcano coding. The script copied Helix Dine's proprietary genomes, then launched ransomware that encrypted local backups. A timer flashed with one message. "Nature belongs to everyone." Alarms blared. I sprinted for a side exit, staggered across tarmac, scaled a perimeter fence. Floodlights combed but missed me. Adrenaline carried me to a highway where I flagged an ancient pickup. The driver, a gray-bearded biker, eyed my torn hospital gown. "Rough night?" "You have no idea," I said, climbing in. "Nearest town with public Wi-Fi?" "Clancy's truck stop, 10 miles. At Clancy's, I borrowed a laptop from the cashier, a teenager who recognized me from social threads about Afterglow now trending. I messaged Jonas via an encrypted channel. Root bloomed? He replied with a seedling emoji and a world map dotted green. I exhaled. Despite van rides, cuffs, drugs, my memory held. 3 days later, headlines everywhere. Helix Dyne stock plummets after leak. Open source seeds flood internet. Farmers downloaded instructions, printed gene sequences on budget CRISPR kits, started planting justice. Agent Kessler reappeared on our porch, but now with a different tone. "Public sentiment's ugly," he admitted. "Arresting an 18-year-old girl would ignite it." He offered witness protection in exchange for testimony against Helix Dyne executives. I countered. Full immunity for my network, release of Beacon, and federal adoption of open-source seed banks. Maybe hyperthymesia emboldens negotiation because one can cite precedent line by line. Kessler grudgingly agreed to relay terms. That night, I returned to my room and recorded everything in a journal, redundancy against future erasure. I wrote until sunrise. Dad's laugh, Mrs. Keener's shoebox, the lullaby encryption, Jonas's hesitant smile before he ran. Memory flowed unbroken now, the missing year spliced back. Jonas visited at dawn, brandishing a packet of pepper seeds labeled Gray 1. We walked to the backyard garden and knelt. Soil smelled of rain. I cupped a seed, small and inscrutable, but within, a cathedral of branching futures waited. "You sure the world's ready?" Jonas asked. "No," I said, pressing the seed into earth. "But it'll remember."